Why do you think we're seeing an uptick in crime happening right now?
This reminds me of back in the day when I was on LAPD, when officers' feelings were hurt and they had the term blue flu. And so officers now we see across these 18,000 police departments are butthurt.
How can citizens be educated to question propaganda and think critically?
We all need to eat a healthy, balanced media diet. That's why I pay for the Washington Post and the LA Times, right? I want to hear the California perspective. I also want to know what's happening in Washington.
Well, you were wrong, Google and Facebook. Right. We don't know. The reason why we want you is because we're checking on this shit. He said, we want to ensure the first thing users see is information from the CDC, the WHO. That's who I'm checking on.
Republicans in state legislatures are saying, if you essentially, and critics would say that if we don't like the way that you voted, we will take away your vote.
Once again, I beseech those of you on the United spaceship Argo to fire up the wave motion gun and destroy this wretched planet. Put us out of our misery. We have hit rock bottom for idiocy in this country, in this world. I don't even know what to say. I stumbled onto a radio show today. Not a radio show, radio channel. Somewhere down near the NPR stuff. And I was so delighted because they were singing a version of Let It Go from Frozen that wasn't in English. I didn't know what it was at all, but it was Let It Go, but not in English. But it was so beautifully sung. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And then they played, and I found out it was Hebrew at the end.
Yeah.
I thought this was cool. This is so interesting, the way the song was sung. It was sung beautifully. And then they played this Hebrew song. And it reminded me of a very, very kind of driving, aggressive rhythm. And it reminded me of the Serbian music, the folk music that we hear when the kids, or you even, Elsa, whoever does Serbian folk dancing.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it very much, and I was very interested in it. I thought, wow, that's great. And then, have you heard of UU? The religion?
Like Unitarian Universalist?
I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
So after that, I guess they switched religions, and they played this sermon.
Okay.
From UU. And it was 100 million woke words in a row. And it was psychotic. And my God, there were systems and there were spaces and there was being seen and being heard. And there was there was doing the work and putting the work in. And there was equity and it was all, they wouldn't stop. They just simply wouldn't stop. There was diversity, and then there was inclusion, and then there was inequities and equality of outcomes, and there was also, I thought, my God, you people you've actually invented a new language now. This isn't even like when we go to the Serbian church when the guy is speaking in Serbian or Latin. Mm-hmm. Which one is it?
Serbian and or Slavonic, yes.
Okay. When I don't understand them, I didn't understand these people. These are native English speakers just speaking in complete wokeism. No, I've been, dallying in woke and culture here for a couple of years, so I can pick up some of the language, a little of it. I can understand it. I can speak a little bit to get by. I can get a taxi and go to La Plage, if I can find La Guerre. But I don't live it and breathe it like the true believers. But so it was disheartening. I was like, man, this sucks now. Went from this great music to now this crazy cultist just waterfall of propaganda, and it was systems. And we really need to look at the core systems and how their original corruption and instruction was to leave peoples out into and to see that the work we're going to have to do, because the country was constructed in a way that was meant to exclude, and the work that we're going to have to do. And it just sucked.
Sounds like a fun church.
It was ridiculous. And now, and this is not even my problem now. My problem is not, you probably don't know this, but I've been delving into the French Revolution recently.
I've heard.
My problem is not with the intellectuals that the opposition is are intellectuals who are proffering an alternative system that threatens me. My problem is that the opposition is idiotic and insane, and they're offering no alternative. They're simply offering they're offering to accept my conversion to their belief system, and that's it. That's it.
Well, right. I mean, when that's your type of ideology, though, then you have to have forced conversion because no one would convert, like, based on the merits of the argument, which is why they have to, like, have cancel culture and attack people and threaten them with being fired and stuff.
And it doesn't even... Right,
because if you can just convince people on the merits, then you don't have to, like, cause a big scene about your pronouns because we'll all just believe you. But if you haven't made your case, then you just have to yell at everybody and tell them they're going to be fired and their life ruined unless they call you what you want to be called.
It's so dumb. From soup to nuts. I told you that or maybe I didn't. You know, so there's this woman, we talked about this a little bit. There's this woman in New Haven, and a principal in New Haven, Robley. We talked about this. She was made to go to white retraining, your whiteness is bad, woke training, where they talked about her whiteness and her this and that, her whiteness and this and that, what that meant about her and this and that. And she left the thing in a rage and went into the cafeteria with two other teachers and said, "Can I be honest with you guys, something, speaking confidence? This, I felt like the victim. I felt like somebody, they were all over me. What if I, in another thing, use the N-word? How would that feel?" Anyway, she used the N-word when she said it, so now she's gone. She's been fired.
Right.
She's been executed. And one of the people calling for her head was a reverend over there, a local reverend. And so he said, "I want results. I want to see her gone. She's got this, that, and racism, this, that." So I had this guy on the air, reverend. It took him a few days to get back to him. Had him on the air. This guy's been studying this stuff for years. He's a reverend doctor, blah, blah. I had him on there, Alice, and the racism that's been happening over the past 4 years since Donald Trump has come, and whiteness is a thing. What has happened to whiteness is absolutely a thing. And I got to tell you, Alice, this guy leads a flock of many people. He's the go-to, whatever. I have never had such an easy time debating somebody. I could have played his part better than him. I knew what was coming when I talked to him. It was so interesting. He has so rarely ever had to defend any of this wackiness that he's talking about. He's a little bit different because he's got a different hustle going, or an ancillary hustle, but a different hustle. But everything.
Well, I would challenge calling Jesus a hustle. Just
no, that's not.
Throwing it out there.
I was not calling Jesus a hustle, Alice.
Okay, well, he's a pastor. That's
right.
His main gig.
Well, nominally, that's his main gig.
Well, I'm just saying I wouldn't call that a hustle.
Right, and that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
Alice. Much like Al Sharpton is a pastor, okay?
Okay, but does Al Sharpton have a home congregation or something? Because I think this guy is like a pastor of a church where he
is a pastor of a church. Are you going to defend him anymore, Alice?
I liked him. I'm sorry.
I liked him too.
Okay.
But it's like I guarantee you, there's no strong defender of the ideology. I don't think Ibram X. Kendi, we heard him when somebody asked him a question that wasn't hard about what's racism. Racism is racist forces with racist this, racism.
Yeah, there's no definition of any of these terms.
No, because he's never had to go that far. Nobody's ever had to.
They just all know what racism is.
Yes, you've never had to establish the fundamentals of the argument. No, I say racism, you listen to me, and you applaud how bright I am and hand me Pulitzers. And grant money. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy how, at least like with Howard Zinn or some of the other good, tried and true Marxist, communist, academic wackos, even you look at the old Buckley debates, William F. Buckley, when he had to debate to Gore Vidal or James Baldwin, whatever, he was debating guys who had their bleep together.
Right.
He had when he debated Christopher Hitchens. Buckley did. Hitchens was a communist, reprobate, in the 70s, whatever. But he was a guy who had a foundation under his arguments.
Right.
He was he could have citations and refer to historic anecdotes, etc. This flim-flammery here, this is crazy. This is made to be entry-level turnkey.
Right.
It's
exactly.
made for the stupid.
Racism is redlining and implicit bias, and black people can't get as good mortgages and mass incarceration, and that's all we have. That's like the extent of the argument, and we've all heard all of it now. So it's lost a little bit of its luster because there isn't a bigger, sort of conversation around this. Hi out there, by the way, to all the people watching on Patreon. We have some of our Patreon patrons watching live. Feel free to leave us a comment in the chat, on the YouTube chat, or wherever you do that. Say hi, and we will say hi back. But that's something that we're doing for the Patreon patrons, is you can watch the show earlier live. So they're watching live right now on Patreon. So say hi.
Very cool. Hey, hi, how are you? This is great. Thank
They're
you very
out there
much
on
for
Patreon.
signing up.
That's awesome.
We really appreciate that. I don't look at the camera much, but thank you very much for taking the time. And can I look at anything?
I don't know.
Are they allowed to talk to us?
They are allowed to talk to us on the chat, so I'm watching, but nobody's talked to us yet. So, but hi out there.
Alice,
You don't have to talk
can
back
they
to us
see
on the
each
chat.
other?
No, but they can. I mean, they can see each other's comments on the chat. So
Okay.
I don't know.
So if I try to make comments up, they'll be able to tell
They'll
I'm
know.
making it.
Yeah,
Dang
they'll know.
it.
But there's no comments yet. But if you don't feel like commenting, that's cool too.
I don't
Whatever.
know why. I don't know why you wouldn't be inside looking at this particular podcast on a beautiful June day.
Well,
By the way, I have never been so freaking hot as I was today, Alice.
It was
if
really
I don't
hot
die
today.
tonight, then being fat is not an element we've all been lied to.
Okay, well, that's what the fat activists say, actually, is that being fat is not an ailment, that it's just the bias in the medical industry against fat people, the fat phobia amongst doctors, that leads to fat people getting less than optimal medical care because you're being discriminized.
Correct.
And
Fat
that's
apartheid.
why fat people die more, is not because being fat is unhealthy, but because doctors discriminate against them.
Correct.
So there you go.
Correct. I want my pithy slogan written on a boulevard, a thoroughfare in Washington District in Columbia.
Yeah, but I mean, it's funny because you and I were talking this weekend just offline about how like this theory about systemic racism just doesn't hold up. Like, it doesn't withstand even the tiniest scrutiny. Like, you and I aren't part of a whiteness culture. I mean, sure, yes, in the United States, there are slightly different overlapping cultures between, like, white Americans and black Americans. There are certain things that are, like, aspects of black American culture, like the barbershop thing and, like, hip-hop culture. And so, I mean, there's stuff, and there's overlap there, right? Like, obviously, like, it's not totally separated, but there's certainly like different cultural experiences.
Although, let's go back to you saying there's crossover there, because there is crossover there.
A lot.
Like the barbershop thing is also like a white Southern barbershop thing.
Well, I would argue that a lot of aspects of what we consider like black American culture, a lot of it is tied to Southern culture, like Southern redneck culture, right? Like there's a lot of commonalities there.
Yes, I don't want to say any because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. We can't mention any of the things.
But there have been like there is in the pop culture there have been movies about the black barbershop with like Queen Latifah's in a bunch of these, right? A couple of these. And there's also Steel Magnolias,
right?
Which is a white barbershop with Shirley MacLaine and Julia Roberts and some other people. Which a movie I've seen way too many times.
I've never seen it.
You haven't seen Steel Magnolias?
Nope.
Oh, it's great.
Nope.
Alice, see it. It's a movie that doesn't really offend.
Okay.
I don't know how it holds up now.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't. But yeah, so we were talking about this, how, there are like slightly different cultural experiences. There's also cultural experiences that are different in America based on class or based on region or based on lots of things, right? Like, and those differences might even be deeper than any in America based on race. However, then you can take a look and you can see that you or I culturally have way more in common than with any black American in America than we do with like a Swedish person or even like someone in England. Like we have more in common with the black American today than we do with the white founders of the country. We don't have some like shared whiteness culture with them. There are 1,000 things that are way more important about our cultural experience in America, things that are shared more with black Americans today than we share with like the founders, quote unquote, or any other white people in other white areas of the world, or that black people share with black people in Africa or anywhere else. There's just not there. Like, the whole whiteness concept just doesn't hold up to any scrutiny. Like, whiteness isn't a thing. Like, we don't, meet people from Germany and we're like, yes, our shared whiteness. Like, if it would be harder for you or me to assimilate to living in Germany than it would be to assimilate to living in a predominantly
right.
a minority neighborhood.
Right. And also because when people talk about racists here in America, you and I say 97% chance it's hyperbole and just used for political whatever.
Right.
In Germany, there are racists. There's some of the real deal happening over there. And historically, there have been issues there, in case anybody hasn't heard.
Okay, Dishy says people are commenting on the Patreon comments, so I should go to that post on Patreon and see there. So there are people.
So should I go over there?
No.
I don't want to. I shouldn't talk about this. I don't want to exclude the people who are.
Well, there's both. There's both.
Normal. I'm confused as to what to do. So also, this is what I'll do. Let's talk about privilege. And most of these points I stole from a very impressive guy on Twitter who was like in Prager University.
So it's saying that.
What's it saying?
Go ahead. No, it's a technical issue.
It's a technical issue. Well,
go
how
ahead.
come Trishy can see it?
Well, she's looking on YouTube, but it's telling people to go to YouTube. It's just not letting them do it on Patreon.
Okay.
But I'll fix that.
So anyway, you and I have talked before about privilege, and that's one of the things. It's the white privilege. And it's one of these broad generalities. And so you say, all right, what is that privilege? What is white privilege exactly? And what other privileges? If there's white privilege, which is simply your skin color, and the advantage you get simply because of skin pigment. So that's what that's too thin and that's weak, because we know that people aren't really judging you by your skin color. People don't care. People may be sizing you up, and depending on where you are, may say, "Wait a second, this fat white guy, may order more food than the skinny other." I don't know. People can do people make an assessment based on visual, and I'm sure skin color might be part of that, depending on whatever. I don't think it's something that's done at a serious level in these times whatsoever. But other than that, what kind of other privileges are there? Well, there's good genes privilege. Some people have just better genes. Some people
there's tall privilege.
There's tall privilege.
Skinny privilege.
There's skinny privilege. There's handsome privilege, beautiful privilege. And like good gene privilege might mean that you might be somebody who never gets cancer, doesn't have somebody in their line who gets cancer, never has to deal with that. Never had to be around while somebody writhed in pain while getting cancer treatments. Never had to have, take that kick to the gut. Or not just cancer, it could be anything, any other ailment, etc. It could be born in America privilege. That is certainly a privilege. If you're born in this country, you are privileged compared to people in the rest of the world. Two-parent family privilege. Now, isn't that probably the most premium privilege there is? The two-parent family privilege?
Yeah, it seems to be a pretty profound privilege when you look at how people do in life based on it.
Well, right. And so if you're going to say, if you're somebody who's an activist or one of these anti-racist people, you'll say, well, the two-parent family privilege, the black people don't enjoy that privilege as much because of white people. Well, black people were enjoying that privilege much more 75 years ago than they are now.
Yeah.
And you want to see...
White people were also enjoying it more previously.
Exactly.
But more so black people. There's like that expression when, America gets a cold, black America gets a fever, right? Because, it's just a fact that the black community often suffers deeper effects from these things that happen.
Right. Although in this particular case, this is Great Society stuff. So this is war on poverty, essentially torpedoed the institution of marriage in the black community, and there has been a visible fall in livelihood, and visible damage as a result of that for a long time, and it's trackable and traceable. You can see it, and very few people suggest it's not so. Absolutely. So this kind of stuff is absolutely there. I mean, and so this is just not deep. This whole theoretical thing is just not deep. And so to thrive on it and act as if that's the most important thing going on, it's not the most important thing going on. And it's a service to push people into this stuff. It's just ridiculous. So I want to go to some of the sound from earlier today. This is so much like, as we've been talking about, the craziness of this world. This is MSNBC, the Tiffany Cross show. She's a young lady on MSNBC. She's a stupid human being. That's fine. And they're talking about the crime spike. And they try to figure out exactly why the crime spike is spiking. So she's talking to Cheryl Dorsey, who's a liberal activist, used to be a LAPD cop. And listen to Tiffany Cross. Crime has been spiking. It's through the roof now for the last year. We all know why that is. We saw it happen in real time. So let's watch. So we saw it happen in real time. Police have been defunded. Police have been reorganized. Police have been hounded, brutalized, mistreated, pilloried all over the place. Even just here in Boston, the MBTA, the subway people, forbade the police from using their cars to act as security to bring them to places when there's riots. So, and colleges in Massachusetts wouldn't let the police use their bathrooms. Police have been hounded and abused. So here's Tiffany Cross, not a genius, who asks Dorsey why.
We're talking about an uptick in crime. You just heard the rhetoric circa 1983 that's being, repeated now. Cheryl, I am a little concerned because I know there are people in neighborhoods who have concerns about the violence they've seen. It's interesting that this is happening at the time of defund the police. We have to get to the root of the problem. Why do you think we're seeing an uptick in crime happening right now?
She doesn't have to ask that question. That is known. It's been written about everywhere. I just did a quick Google search. NPR and PBS and the New York Times, they're writing about this. Some of them try to be cute and ask that same question, but people generally know why that's happening.
I think it's a combination of things, and we have to understand that police officers are the backbone. Patrol particularly are the backbone of any police department, and this reminds me of back in the day when I was on LAPD, when officers' feelings were hurt, and they had the term blue flu, where officers openly talked about slow response to radio calls. You can break a police chief if response time is low, if you're not clearing crimes, if you're not responding to high priority calls, shootings in progress, murder, robbery. And so officers now we see across these 18,000 police departments are butthurt because, they can't run willy-nilly through a police department and abuse with reckless abandon. So they're stepping away.
Can you imagine this is Cretin saying this?
Yeah. I wonder why police officers aren't rushing to go sign up for the police force when there's a bunch of people complaining and saying they're butthurt just because you're constantly attacking them day in, day out.
Yeah,
Let's see. We call them names, tell them they're pigs and fascists and they're killing us constantly every day, and say they're wantonly shooting black children in the streets for absolutely no reason except for they're a bunch of incorrigible racists. And now they are not wanting to be police officers and not responding to our calls as quickly. It's so weird. Wow, they must be butthurt. Imagine the level of just absolute narcissism and self-absorption that requires to look at the police force that way, they owe it to you.
You've also had the police drawn back by mayors over the last year. The police taken out of the George Floyd zone because no cops are allowed there, because cops obviously are killers and violent marauders. Mm-hmm. Cops taken away from CHOP, pushed around in Portland all over the place. You've defanged the cops completely. You have disparaged. You have destroyed the morale of the cops. You've destroyed the name of the institution altogether. And you're wondering, what could it be? Oh, their feelings are hurt. lady.
We're
and
prosecuting them left and right just for trying to do their job and prevent our cities from being burned down. And for some reason, it's like they are not feeling as gung-ho about being police officers as usual. They must be butthurt. Like, I mean, like, what do they think is going to happen? They all campaigned for a year on defunding the police, and that police are racist. Police were founded as a racist institution. They're part of, they're slave catchers, basically, and that they just kill black people, and that they're an existential threat to people's lives. And then, like, they turn around and they're like, wow, they're so butthurt. I mean, imagine. It's unbelievable to me.
It's a weird kind of victim blaming. It really is.
So odd.
It really is.
You said you didn't want them, and now they're like, what?
Get out of here, you dregs, you filthy murderers. Just get out of here. Leave.
Yeah.
Then all the crime happens in the city, and like, where are they? Oh, they must be cowards. You just ordered them out. You just said that they were lesser than and to leave. You want them gone.
Right, you said they're killing you and you want them to go
blue
away.
Flu. They showed up while you threw bottles at their heads, and that wasn't newsworthy. While you were putting cops in the hospital, shining lasers into their eyes, they showed up and took crap from your punk college students, white women yelling at black cops, calling them Uncle Toms and calling them animals and racists and throwing crap at them. They showed up day after day. The blue flu was not around. They kept showing up. What's happening over there, Alice?
Oh, no, I think I fixed the Patreon. That's all.
Oh, good.
From specialized units, too cowardly to quit outright the department, but they're stepping away from units.
They're stepping away from specialized units, like the riot unit, when you get a brick thrown at your face and a piss-filled bottle thrown at the back of your head. They're stepping away from those units because they're cowards, this person says. I'm all for this. I think the police should step away from big cities and let social justice heroes handle it, like CHOP and like Chaz and like the George Floyd area, where you couldn't go in because the sounds of gunfire, like it was Fallujah, would be everywhere, where a weird fascist warlords would decide what media gets in and out. Good. I want every city where they vote for a Democratic mayor to be run by warlords. Have it. I'm done with the cities anyway. We moved up here to the boonies. We look at goats now, and that's fine with me.
I'm ready to go even more
to
the boonies.
Go to hell, you, all of you psychos. You brought this on yourself. The cowards, guess what? The butthurt protectors are leaving now. Bon chance, moron.
On the Columbus Police Department, the rapid response team, an entire platoon of SWAT officers walked away in Miami. And so I don't think it's a coincidence. And listen, bad guys know that cops aren't responding, that they're not coming out when they're capering. And so I think it's a combination of things.
What's your take on, do you really think there is...
First of all, says bad guys know when the cops are not responding. Right. They know because you declared that the cops won't be responding. The cops' bosses have declared they won't be responding. Not only that, there are more bad guys out in the streets because you woke geniuses, DAs, and civic and community leaders have let the bad guys go. So they're all over the streets. It is remarkable. And this idiot, I'm not used to this much idiocy. This pure and uncut in my life. I'm not used to this much. I don't know if my bloodstream can take this much of it. So here's the follow-up question. And for this, I can't play because we're live streaming. I can't play any of my de-stressing music, unfortunately.
Yeah,
an uptick in crime, the way that Republicans are framing it.
Do you really think there's more crime? The Republicans keep saying there is. Do you really think there is? It's everywhere that there is. It is known everywhere in the country that it is. Shootings are through the roof. Violent crime is through the roof. Stabbings are through the roof. Carjackings are through the roof. Carjackings were a thing that went away after a while.
I don't necessarily think that there's an uptick in crime, and I can tell you that I know firsthand, statistics can be manipulated. And so I think that this is, again, what
statistics are being manipulated. That's what's happening here. It's being manipulated.
Officers, police departments, police chiefs, those who are savvy, try to do is pull back, make communities suffer just a little bit, so you'll miss that heavy-handedness.
What an ugly, ugly, ugly human being. What a horrible thing to say.
Those overzealous cops who are abusing their authority in your communities, and then when you cry uncle, they come back times 10 with more militarization, more heavy-handed.
So they'll come back and you'll complain again now that they're back. You complain
Right.
when they're there, you complain when they leave, you complain when they come back. They cannot win. If you're a cop, please look into retirement and just get out of the city or move up to a nice town like a town where people appreciate the police.
Elephant hunters who are now preying on an unsuspecting public.
Wow, can you imagine?
Yeah, preying on them.
Elephant hunters. Mm-hmm. That's Media Research Center grabbed that piece, by the way. Thank you very much. You got these guys; they do an excellent job of grabbing a lot of stuff. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It just the nerve is. I don't even know what to say. Don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, their whole thing is completely just out of line and wild, and they like make their whole thing based on like demonizing the other side into positions that they don't even have. It's like all straw men all the way down, like elephant hunters preying on vulnerable people. Like, it's just all made up stuff. I don't know. I get so frustrated with it. And this is like a bit of a topic shift, but I'm so tired of like the critical race theory thing in schools and people saying like, they don't even teach critical race theory in schools. It's all made up. You're just all making things up. Like, what a straw man. It just like, you know what you're doing. You're teaching what you're teaching. People don't like it, and you turn around and say it's pretend. You know, it's not even happening. We're not even doing that. It's just complete, like, fabrication of everything from top to bottom. Like, the positions of the people on the opposite side, they can't be honest about it at all. It's unbelievable. I'm so frustrated. And, like, I know Ron DeSantis is getting a ton of press because he's been, like, doing all this stuff, the critical race theory stuff and this and that. But, like, the attacks on him are really just getting egregious. Like watching this stuff about the building in Florida, the building that fell down, and they don't know why yet. I mean, there's like a lot of possible reasons why this could happen. I've been following this because I find it really scary that like a whole building can just like all of a sudden fall down. It's like crazy to me. It's terribly tragic that this happened. You know, probably over 100 people are dead. They don't know yet, but it's like unbelievable that this could happen in America, that a whole skyscraper would just like to the ground, bam. And in 9 seconds, I think the whole thing happened. But of course, liberals are already blaming guess who for it falling down. Who personally made it fall down, Tom?
Trump?
Guess. No, not Trump.
DeSantis?
DeSantis.
Right.
Death Santis made the building fall down. He did. Because you know why? Because he passed deregulation in 2019. See?
Did he? Oh, sorry about
and
that.
Do you know what he was deregulating in 2019?
Building structure safety? Oh, sorry.
No, nail salon licensing. So nail technician licensing was deregulated.
Was there an earmark for building?
No. But he
Structural integrity?
deregulated stuff in 2019, okay? And then a
Yes.
building fell down in 2021. Coincidence? I mean, the building might have been built 40 years ago, but do you think it's a coincidence that he deregulated nail techs in 2019 and then the building fell down in 2021? We'll see. He's also being attacked because he did not sign the emergency declaration so that FEMA could come in until the next day. So WAPO had like a big article about how like he personally made sure to delay the emergency crews coming to the building to rescue people.
Was this because to run for president so he wouldn't accept Biden's help so he can...
Maybe, who knows? I don't know what the theory of the thing is, why except that just Ron DeSantis likes people dying or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it goes without saying.
But as it turns out, he was waiting for the emergency declaration from the county. And after they declared an emergency, he declared an emergency within an hour of them declaring an emergency. But it flows from top to bottom. The county declares it, then the state, then the federal.
Right, on the building that he himself had rigged with explosives.
Exactly, by deregulating in 2019. Right. So, the like level of attacks, that's just what bothers me, is it's just like so disingenuous and insane. I mean, somebody sent me the thing this week and they were like, wow, is it true that Ron DeSantis is like making all college professors and students register all their political beliefs with the state?
Yes.
Have you seen this article?
No, I know he has done that, but that's just so he can separate some and exterminate them.
Stop. No. They were like, because wow, that's like kind of crazy. Like, I wouldn't want to have to register my beliefs with them just because I'm a student at a university. No. What the law
The moment I
is,
saw Alyssa Milano say fascist, I thought, okay, well, this obviously is not what it seems to be.
what the law is that he passed, that they're characterizing this way, is that they've mandated that state universities have to give out a survey each year to students and staff that asks them how they feel about like freedom of expression on campus and if all views are represented, or if they feel like they can like comfortably speak their mind and political views on campus.
You know what I don't like, Els?
What don't you like?
I have a new pet peeve, Els. You know what occupation of people I hate? This may get me in trouble.
Okay.
Guess. Who are you communicating with? Are we back on with our patrons?
Talking to Dishy. She's on YouTube
what does she
right
say?
now. She's
How come I
talking to
can't
us
find
to
these
see
people?
if the stream is working or not, but the Patreon one is not. But I think I might have fixed that. But they can see it on a private
On
YouTube
Patreon,
link,
somebody
which is
says,
what we're...
Morgan said it's on. Trish said, yes, hooray. 4 minutes ago.
Yay. Okay, so I fixed it.
All right, guys. Well, shoot.
Get that man some AC, says Morgan. I know, Morgan, I'm working on it. That's true.
Don't even
I'm
get me
trying
started.
to-
Don't even get me started.
I'm in big trouble at this house because the third floor AC is not working, and
This is the second floor AC that I need. Okay, whatever.
it's the third and second floor.
Because
AC.
I dared to, before I hit 50, want to try to see what it was like to be an adult and not have 47 window units of AC in. Last year, we were forced to do a big de-letting thing. As part of the loan, we could do home improvement, so I asked for central air conditioning. So the central air conditioning to this floor, so we got rid of all the window units. So the central air conditioning lasted from really last fall till last 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. So I no longer have central air. I had it for about 2 weeks. It was incredible. Nice and nice.
We had it at the end of last summer.
Exactly. I had it all the fall. During the winter, it worked. There were like nothing else in the world. It was incredible. But now it doesn't work. I've had it less than a year. I don't know what it's like. I'm dying up here. I'm here 4 days a week, 5 days a week as well on the terrestrial radio, where I'm in utter hell. And yes, it is not great. It is Alice's fault. She will admit.
I'm not mean enough to the HVAC techs, I guess. I don't have your force of personality to make people do things for me.
One of the problems is that the HVAC machine is in the kids' playroom, and the kids' playroom is a total hellhole because
it's not anymore.
It was a super fun site until yesterday because our kids are slobs.
A super fun site of like Legos and stuff, not of like actual biohazard material.
I wish it were anthrax, so I could just go up there and lay in it. But so now the stuff's out of the way. So now somebody could come in feasibly, but the guy who's supposed to has ghosted us. So we don't have any HVAC guy. I've got a beautiful, pristine, barely out of the package unit outside, a big square thing with a propeller in it that is not moving right now. It just sits there. It's essentially a drink holder or whatever you want it to be.
I think
so.
That
is my life, Morgan. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, I am extremely hot. There's a fan over there. It doesn't blow into this room. It's 111 degrees. I've been outside planting plants. Well, Alice has been the executive producer of many other podcasts today.
We recorded 2 episodes of Murder on the Millennial Express today.
But thank you. I do have this delicious, I guess it's gone, Mick Ultra Infusions, pomegranate and agave, light lager with real fruit and natural, it's a perfect beerish kind of thing for today. Where was I? Oh, you know who I hate?
Who else do you hate?
What do you mean who else do I hate? This is my first person I hate today, and this has to do with somebody, an occupation of a person.
I thought you already hated me because
No.
I didn't fix the AC or something.
No, your slow attempt to assassinate me it does not break my love for you. No, I still love you. That's fine. I mean, you're trying to kill me and torture me. That's fine. I understand. I would too. At one point, Leia strangled Jabba with a chain, and nobody blamed her for it else. Nobody's going to blame me for this. So here's who I hate. I hate all hammer throwers. All hammer throwers.
Not just the trans ones?
Wait, is that person a trans?
No, is that... No, it's not, I guess.
No.
Okay, sorry.
Dateline.
It's the weightlifters and the hurdle jumpers who are trans, I guess, in the Olympics news.
I didn't even know the Olympics were on. To be honest,
They're not yet. This is trials.
Oh,
it's in Tokyo later.
Oh, good. I can't wait. So here's where the hell is the? Is it this? Okay, it's an AP story. Hammer thrower Gwen Berry turned away from the flag during the national anthem on the podium at the U.S. trials. She then draped her black T-shirt with the words "activist athlete" emblazoned on the front over her head. And you can see her here with a little puss on her face with a weird I'm different lipstick thing happen. I assume that means that my whiteness is, I don't know. It's anti, I don't know. But she's salty because because they played the anthem when she didn't want them to. Because
when she
God
was
forbid
getting her medal.
God forbid you be somebody in your 20s or 30s who has absolutely lived off the fruits of this country and been blessed and overspoiled by this country. God forbid, then when you get a moment in the spotlight, you're not a total freaking a-hole and self-centered POS.
So
I hate her. I hate her.
Okay.
And I don't care about anybody's color or anything like that. She's a terrible person. A terrible person. And she, of course, she was happy to embrace all the things that this country did for her. All the things this country did for her to put her in this position where she gets to go be an athlete and gets brought around the world forever. And she's so principled, made such a principled stand that she will not, she does not want the national anthem of the United States, the country that spoiled her to death and gave her this. She does not want that played because it hurts her feeling. Her principled stance is a counter to that ever happening.
Emily says she hates her too, Tom.
Good, Emily, you're right. Meanwhile, her principled stance will be on pause when she cashes every fucking check out there from every sponsor, from Nike, Adidas, and Converse, and everybody else is going to absolutely give her a tongue bath because they're cowards. Her principled stance will allow her to absolutely accept money from every capitalist United States racist institution. She'll be happy to do that. That's fine. But when she's on the TV, she has to be a total jerk. God, wretched jerk. Why don't you? You know what she'd be great for? Maybe Victoria's Secret Angel. Maybe she'll be a good one. Put her next to Rapinoe so you can have two total a-holes next to each other.
Yeah.
And you know another thing? F the hammer throw. What the frig is that? Hammer throw. That is a sport for
I think doesn't our friend and good listener coach throwing in track and field, like all the throwing things?
I don't think he does the hammer throw.
I
But
don't
no,
know what
he's
that
a
is,
good
really.
No, hammer throw
have to
is for
ask him
drunk
later.
dudes in a backyard party. Like chucking an axe. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no. But we're like on a tear of Olympians behaving badly because, like, first of all, we have a bunch of people who now qualify for the Olympics who are trans. So, like, trans Olympian Chelsea Wolfe, who's qualified for the USA BMX freestyle team as a transgender
I'm going
BMX
to send you this
rider.
picture. Are you able to try to put this on the screen, Els?
I can try and put a picture
I'm going to
on
put
the screen.
I want, instead of me, I want this person's picture on the screen.
Okay, I'll give it a shot, sweetie.
Look at this.
So she says she's going to burn the flag on the podium if she wins.
Wait, how is this person sanctioned by the United States? Oh, wait, no, that's
transgender Olympian Chelsea Wolfe.
Oh, that's a different
who's
Olympian.
The BMX, she's like the BMX freestyle rider Olympian.
So whatever Chelsea, that man or woman is, why are we sanctioning this person?
She said she's going to burn the flag.
Why are we
She wants to win the Olympics so she can burn a U.S. flag on the podium. That's what she said.
That would be a shame if she were mistakenly fully immolated during that procedure.
So where did you send me the picture?
I sent it on by text.
By text. Okay, I'll take a look. Phil, please.
I don't want to play any of this audio. It's too weird. We've hit peak stupid right now.
So speaking of the Olympics, by the way, Biden was supposed to go to the Olympics, but he's not, and Jill is going instead of him.
That's probably for the best at this point. I don't want him whispering at the Japanese. All right. Okay. Do I dare play more of this audio? God dang it! I don't want to, Alice. All right. Okay. All right. I'll find one. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna play Stelter.
Okay. Let's go to Stelter.
I'm gonna play Stelter. Everything's fine. I'm not allowed to play the Bill Withers music because I'm not allowed to. I'll get flagged for copyright because of.
We're live streaming.
We're live streaming. That's fine.
You can play it next week.
That's fine. Also, let me know if there are any messages. Anybody needs any advice? If you have any questions for me, hey, Alice, ask me anything. Right?
Okay.
Right? Are you listening to me, Alice?
I'm putting up your picture.
Oh, good. For now on, I don't want an instance of me at all on YouTube. I only want that picture.
You only want that picture
Yes.
all the time.
So this is some idiot talking with Brian Stelter about the media. Brian Stelter, of course, is the dumb at CNN. Also a dumb. I didn't do another thing today, Alice. Substack, because I have no time in the world.
Okay.
I will do it tomorrow.
Okay.
I've got a good idea. It'll probably be Brian Stelter. This is somebody asking Brian Stelter. It's so interesting. He calls himself like, I'm the media expert at CNN, and people like treat him like that. I mean, how wretched do you have to be? So this guy acts.
Okay, here's your picture. I'm putting up your picture now of the Olympians.
Good.
And your hammer thrower.
Good. So
being mad about it. So you just want that picture up now? You don't want us anymore?
Well, the people want to look at you, so we can put that. You may still objectify Alice. I will be hiding. Here's
I'm putting you back.
The 1 minute we have left, and it comes from John Chase in Massachusetts. How can citizens be educated to question propaganda and think critically? And answer that in 1 minute.
It obviously begins early. It begins with students. It begins in the classroom. But I think it also has a lot to do with news literacy programs. And we have seen a lot of investment in media and news literacy with groups like the News Literacy Project trying to instill these values. At the end of the day, we all need to eat a healthy, balanced media diet. That's why I pay for...
Hold on. He just said at the end of the day, we all need to eat a healthy, balanced media diet.
Yeah, I personally feel that he should stay away from the healthy, balanced diet metaphors.
That's another fat phobic shot by you? That's fine, Alice. Here we go. I just want to get ready for this.
Okay, I'm ready.
What does a healthy, balanced diet consist of?
Values. At the end of the day, we all need to eat a healthy, balanced media diet. That's why I pay for the Washington Post and the LA Times, right? I want to hear the California perspective. I also want to know what's happening in Washington. And
okay. Can you imagine the healthy, balanced diet? Mm-hmm. The far progressive, radical progressive wokesters on the LA Times and the radical progressive wokester Marxists in the Washington Post. I got both sides. Yeah, it's balanced. It's healthy. There you go. Mm-hmm. Both kinds of Marxism are fully represented in my healthy diet. That's what I do. That's my diet, and that's what I stick to, and that's how I make sure that I disseminate news to you, and all of us at CNN do, and all the regular media does, because the whole world is effing stupid, and that's why you have idiot, ungrateful piece crap hammer throwers being salty and complaining that the song that plays when they get a pat in the head by the country that brought them up and spoiled them happens. Okay, fine.
All right, we will catch you all later. We are going to, for the Patreon viewers, pop back over and do the after show live as well. So we'll see you all in a minute if you're on Patreon. But if you're not, we will see you tomorrow. It's been another fun Burn Barrel podcast. You can find.
By the way, guys, thank you very much. For the folks who aren't on Patreon, thank you very much. And I'm sorry I'm rip bleep, but this is a rip bleep situation. It is hot out. Have a beer or a seltzer or a cold water or something, and we'll just breathe and get through this. I am a rip bleep, Alice. I'm going to be more rip bleep when we get to Patreon. I'm going to be no holds barred. I'm working blue.
But it's been good to see you. You can always find us 5 days a week on our normal places, burnbarrelpodcast.com, YouTube, all those good places. We'll always be there 5 days a week for everybody. Talk to you soon.